Salutations, fellow rejects. Fatshark has finally graced us with a big content drop patch for Darktide. Included in this patch are multiple new additions to the game, including a new map, new mission, several new weapons, changes to different other weapons, and a lot of performance updates. So let's get into what Fatshark has given to us today. First of all, Fatshark is actually acknowledging the fact that people want to have more transparency regarding updates. As stated on the website itself, we've been reading your comments on Steam, the Fatshark forums, and Reddit to acknowledge your request for more communication, transparency, and where we're at. Well, since launch, they have definitely been trying to get this game to run as smoothly as possible. There have been multiple ways where they patch the game to make it a little bit more performant, to make it not crash as much. And because of that, stability is still one of their main focus points. First and foremost, they prioritize stability so we can play this game without any interruptions at all, which means they are still actively investigating a lot of different topics. These mean that they are not fixed yet, but they are being looked into. First of all, we have GPU-related crashes, so those have no fixes yet. Penances are not updated when users disconnect or crash during missions. Also, this is another topic that they are looking into. It is also mentioned later on as well. Players receive error codes 4008 and 2007. The causes for these error codes are most likely known within the dev team, but not to us, and they are beginning to deploy fixes to get rid of those. There's problems with Twitch drops for some people, and those are being looked into, as well as players reporting that no rewards or progression are given after mission completion. This is, of course, well, I would be mad as well, and they are very much trying to get rid of that. Currently fixing. These are things that are currently being fixed, so we can kind of calculate with another patch coming in rather soon where these fixes are being deployed. Contracts do not progress for some players, which it's basically like the XP issue. They want to get rid of that as soon as possible. Various penances work differently than expected. We've made steps towards fixing this in patch 1020 with the pick and mix penances, but it may require further fixes due to the number of penances in the game. This is understandable from a software development point of view, still rather sad to see. Server crash kicking players. Error code 2001. They identified the cause and are currently in the progress of fixing it. Stuck in queue position 1. They have also managed to find the cause and are currently fixing. Now for the actual patch. First of all, there are some changes to the Commodore's vestures, the in-game shop. In the latest patch, they removed the timer. Well, in the patch before this latest patch, they removed the timer regarding the Commodore's vestures, regarding when the shop is updating. Yes, the shop is on a rotation for those of you who didn't know. The main reason for the rotation is so the shop is not cluttered all the time. This leads to less, purchasable stuff in the shop at a time, but it also means that you don't have an endless list of stuff to look through. They now implemented a change that the timer will be there when there's only 24 hours remaining to buy an item. And on top of that, there has been a change regarding the amount of Aquilas you can buy. There is now a 2.4k Aquila package. Content drop the signal. Now we're getting into the meat of things. This drop actually introduces a new map with a new mission attached. On top of that, both the Zealot and the Ogrin are able to use new weapons. It's basically a very similar weapon for both. On top of that, we have an addition to the crafting menu, inclusion of private games, and a new condition. Let's look into this. First of all, in the new map, in the Complex 1542F, we are trying to get access to a complex, so we can actually, message the Imperium about what is going on Tertium. On top of that, we get two new weapons, the Indignatus Mark 4E Crusher, a two-handed power maul for Zealots, as well as the Ackless Mark 1 power maul. Another power mole, this one is one-handed for the Ogrins. I'm gonna guess that they are roughly the same size. Private play is now available, which means we are not forced to play with random people anymore. If a friend of yours is actually dropping out of your session, you can make that session private beforehand to make sure that there's nobody random, joining afterwards. On top of that, we have the refine options at the Shrine of the Omnissiah. This lets us refine a singular perk, but will lock every other perk the weapon has. Perks now have tiers through 1 to, I think, level 4. Yeah, ranging from 1 to 4. Which means we can now actually gauge how strong a perk is and if it's worth refining. On top of that, the last thing is a new condition called the Hunting Grounds, and yeah, a lot of people will hate those if you don't know how to deal with Poxhounds. This is a new condition that basically floods the map with a lot of Poxhounds. You can guess that most spawns for specials will lead to Poxhounds under these conditions. Now, for the actual patch notes regarding, well, general quality of life and known issues first. There's a known issue regarding the Game Pass and Microsoft Store version that doesn't display prices in the Commodore's vestures properly. These are just shown as question marks, but if you click on the items, the actual price is being shown in a Microsoft overlay. So it's a known issue, but it is not too high on the priority list for now, since the actual price is still being shown in the Microsoft interface afterwards. There's general changes to quality of life. The chat window is now accessible in all loading screens, which is wonderful in my opinion. On top of that, we can merge strike teams. There's the 2.4K Aquila pack I was talking about, and an option to skip the intro cinematic has been added, which is nice, so we don't have to click it away manually anymore. Performance and stability, there are various fixes to that. I will have a link to the patch notes underneath the video for anybody interested in those. Contracts and penances. Isolated and resolved a rare issue that could cause contract progression during a mission to be lost when a mission completes at the end of the round. And on top of that, an issue was detected with the penance pick and mix, where it could, in some circumstances, not be awarded as expected. Like I mentioned before, they are trying to fix anything where tracking on missions, penances, and XP is not working properly. This is part of the first rollout. On top of that, new UI texts regarding localization, which is nice, but we're getting to the meat and potatoes, we're getting to the weapons. So, first of all, they fixed an issue in the Psychanium where equipping weapons would sometimes disable weapon perks and blessings. I don't use the Psychanium too much, to be honest, but for those who use it for training purposes and for testing purposes, this is going to be a wonderful, wonderful change. The Ogren ranged weapons with melee special attacks should now change crosshair when using the special attacks. This is a minor change, which will have the game feel a little bit better, but overall it doesn't change much regarding gameplay. They fixed an issue where players would stay in aim-down sights while using the bayonet with the Lucius pattern las guns. This has happened to me once, and I am actually glad to see this fixed. It definitely felt weird to be in aimed down perspective when we used the bayonets. Fixed an issue where players would stay in aim down sights while using special attack with the Akatran MG Mark II heavy las pistol and the Zorona Mark II a quick draw stop revolver. Same thing here. Fixed an issue where the Psyker could not use the Akatran MG Mark II heavy las pistol weapon special while switching weapons. Minor thing, it should now be possible to cancel reload by using the weapon special of the quick draw stop revolver. That is interesting. So you can actually cancel your reload by using the weapon special, which means you're not a sitting duck when reloading anymore. Keep that in mind when you're using the revolver. The weapon special is a great way to interrupt foes who are attacking you mid-reload now. Autoguns should now more reliably interrupt other actions when performing a weapon special attack. Minor thing, the weapon special now actually knocks them. Fixed a bug where weapon stagger in the control collateral stat didn't work as intended on weapons like the Ripper gun. This one is also a minor change, but it means that we are able to stun opponents more or make them flinch. Fixed an issue where players could use the special attack whilst aiming down with the Akatran MG heavy las pistol and quick draw. Yeah, that is the thing. That is the issue. People were aiming down and then using the special attack, which then made them just stick stick in aim down sights. So these changes actually go hand in hand. Fixed the bug where flame and burger stuff secondary attacks would not damage enemies if the attack was too short, so even short bursts of flames are now usable and do damage. Fixed the bug where special attack follow-up damage on the Katachin Mark III Combat Blade did not scale with the damage stat. I never knew that was a thing. I'm glad that they changed it, but I never knew that was a thing. Fix the bug where the Ripper Gun's reload can be interrupted, such that you can fire it without a magazine. Yeah, that is. Glad to see that changed. I want to have my magazine in there when I'm shooting. Fix the bug where overheat only dissipated when having a weapon wielded. This is a very welcome change. So when your weapon is about to overheat and you still need to fight, just switch away and the overheat will still dissipate. So they tweaked a lot of weapons, which is where we're getting into the nitty-gritty now. So this is where we're looking at buffs and nerfs to different weapons. First of all, we have the Spearhead Bolt Gun. Spearhead, sorry. They added equip variations and reworked original equip to make the equip animations less repetitive and frustrating. This is just a minor tweak regarding the looks. And they fixed issues with snapping after unaiming while shooting, as well as an exploit where the weapon swapping at the right time would result in much faster reload. That is good to hear. So they looked into that exploit and made sure to get rid of it. There's not really much of a nerf or a buff here, but it's a welcome tweak. On top of that, there's a tweak to the power sword, the Monitorum Mark III to be exact. They tuned down the cleave on powered attacks from infinite to simply very big cleave. So around 10 enemies. The power sword is still very, very strong, do not get me wrong, but it was a little bit too strong regarding its cleave potential, so I like to see this nerf being a thing. But don't you worry, it's not a pure nerf. On top of that, they added damage fall off for targets beyond third on heavy activated sweeps. Scales from... Oh wait, it is full nerf. I'm sorry. I thought that they buffed it. No, this is a full-on nerf. So the more you cleave through, the less damage there is. They also tweaked the Lucius pattern lasguns. They tuned charging VFX to unblock view of shot, pushed ADS field of view to 65 to clean up the sight a bit, increased time until forced shot across all marks from 1 to 2.5 extra seconds after full charge, decreased the ammo consumption on fully charged shots. Those were needed, holy shit. I tried using the Lucius pattern lasguns multiple times and holy shit, these charged shots took way too much way too much ammo. I rarely used them just because of the amount of ammo they needed. They reduced the charge time ranges until fully charged as well, so now charging your shots with these Lucius pattern lasguns might actually be useful. They reduced the chain time for the bayonet slash from 0.5 to 0.3, so it's actually faster as well, increased the damage versus armored and resistance on low charge near far from 40-50 to 50-60, and increased the minimum charge scala for Mark II charge shot from 30 to 40% power. On top of that, reduced suppression sway and reduced baseline sway. This is a full-on buff to the Lucius pattern lasgun. Make sure to try it out. They also tweaked the M35 Magna Core Mark II plasma gun. There's an increased clip size range from 75 to 150 instead of 60 to 100. Still one clip in reserve with matching adjustment. Improved vent durations. Both active venting is now 3 seconds, down from 4, and passive venting is 15, down from 20. Adjusted vent speed curves and thresholds and lowered the height threshold. Yada yada yada. Time scales of venting are now low 80%, high 50, critical 25. Retuned vent damage to a player. It should be in the same ballpark but scale more aggressively, so lower overcharge give less damage, which is a welcome addition. This means if you know what you're doing with the plasma gun, it will not hurt you as much, but if you overheat it too high, it will do a lot of damage. Allow heavy charged shots to continue after shooting through geometry. Entry and exit both create explosions. This is interesting. Okay, so we now have double explosions when we shoot through things with the plasma gun. Now, a change to the revolver. The revolver now has more ammunition, more range, has more base damage, 200 to 400 instead of 200 to 350, so there's higher base damage, and increase the hit scan range to fix issues where no hits would be detected at very long ranges. This is a full-on buff to the revolver. A full-on buff across the board. More ammo, more range, more damage. Make sure to test it out. On top of that, we have changes to the Vrax Mark III, 7 and Agrippina Mark 8 Headhunter autoguns. They have reduced recoil, vertical rise on all Headhunter autoguns, increased damage from 70 to 140 was what it had before, 80 to 160 is what it has now. Regarding the Mark III, the Mark 7 went from 80 to 160 to 100 to 200, and the Agrippina went from 75 150 to 90 180. Overall, pure buffs regarding damage and sway. The Turtolsky Mark 6, Mark 7, and Mark 9 heavy swords now have increased baseline damage armor mod versus flak armor and infested. More damage is good. Increased baseline impact armor mod versus flak armor. Still, more damage. Increased horizontal light attack damage from 2550 to 3570. Adjusted target followed to match. Increased diagonal light attack damage from 3570 to 4080. Adjusted target followed to match. Again, pure buff. So, this has actually been changed, so it has been crossed out regarding the Thunder Hammer, and they fixed a bug where the Thunder Hammer was missing a weapon special active chain from block. It is now a thing, very much so. Fixed an issue where Lucius pattern lasguns were ignoring shoot input after getting stunned in aim down sights, very much fixed. Fixed a bug where you couldn't initiate weapon special from push action, fixed for all heavy swords and tactical axes. Welcome, very much welcome. I had that happen with a heavy sword. Fixed a bug where animation was snapping when unaiming right after shooting on lasguns and shotgun. It's nice to have these not snap as much. Fixed a bug with the Krog Mark 5 twin-linked heavy stubber where primary fire didn't buffer properly from wield, leaving braced and sliding, etc. Yeah, that is something I didn't even realize was a thing. It's nice to see it fixed. Now, we're almost done. We're almost done with the big changes regarding weapons and combat, and don't you worry, the rest is not as dry, but it needed to be done. Combat. We have fixed an issue where Zealot Preacher's ability Chastise the Wicked could get interrupted if used while having been pushed by enemy attacks, so this is not as easily interruptible anymore. Fixed an issue where Psychonetics Inner Tranquility talent costs slower quell speed, so this will no longer, slower your quell. Fixed a bug where being hit while logging disabled coherency toughness regen for 100 seconds or until hit again. This was a bug, this was not a feature, and it is removed now. Improved precision smart targeting, that is nice. Fixed a bug where you couldn't perform heavy attacks while with the Obscurus Mark II Blaze Force Sword whilst holding sprint, made sure all attacks and start actions can now be used while sprinting. This is also very important, guys. Every action should now be possible during a sprint or when you're going for a crouch, sliding, and all that kind of jazz. Use your mobility, it's important in this game. Fixed an issue where Zealot Preacher would dash through enemies if they were too close, so they fixed some hitboxes there. You're still gonna get stuck in crowds now. And fixed an issue where some pickups could not be interacted with due to being inside collision. This is big. This is very big, and will be picked up later on as well. There have been a lot of pickups on several maps where we just weren't able to pick them up anymore. I remember quite a few crafting materials that were stuck in chests, and I couldn't get to them. In some cases, it was even happening with grimoires, which was even worse. This has been fixed and is being worked on regarding the ones that are still stuck. Enemies. Fixed some issues where the Poxhound could launch into the stratosphere. This is a wonderful way of saying, yeah, we had some Poxhounds that literally just jumped into space. This shouldn't happen anymore. It shouldn't happen anymore. On top of that, they fixed some Trader Guard helmets and armors, which depicted 4 instead of 6. Copy-paste and mirroring is a thing. Regarding missions, they moved the spawn point of Demon Host from respawn location in Power Matrix, so the Demon Host will, well, not be a thing anymore on your actual respawn position. This is very nice considering that Demon Hosts are meant to be more optional challenges on missions, and having them right next to your teammates that you have to, well, pick back up and revive, it was not the smartest idea, and I'm glad to see this changed. They fixed some diamantine that couldn't be picked up. This is what I said before. Fixed an area where players could leave the play area in Enclavum. Yeah, we don't want out-of-bounds shenanigans. Fix a spot in Enclaving where players could stand and be out of reach. Exploits be gone. Fixed an issue where a horde could spawn next to players in the end event in the consignment yard. No more a thing. Fixed a spot where players could get stuck in Smelter Complex. Oh, a friend of mine told me about this. There was an elevator where you could basically press the button and dash into the door, which would then leave you stuck in the elevator door while the rest of your team is going down with the elevator. This is now fixed. There should be no way for you to get stuck anymore. Fixed a bug where enemy units were spawning in plain sight in consignment yard end event. Yeah, we don't like that. We want our spawns to be out of sight. It's just a little bit more pleasant to look at. Fixed an issue where players could enter a soft-locked state in the prologue. No more a thing. Fixed an issue where the Valkyrie would arrive silently. We want that sound. We want these explosions. Glad to see that. Fixed a scripture that couldn't be picked up from before. Fixed an issue where monstrosities could not reach the players in a refinery. Yeah. Okay. More ways for monstrosities to reach us. We like that. Fix a soft lock that can occur on levels with airlocks should a player join a mission whilst the airlock is closing. Oh god, I didn't know that was a thing. I'm glad to see this fixed. I never had this happen, but I can actually see the problems that would arise with this. Fix a spot on enclaving barriers where enemies could walk through walls. Another case of, yeah, we don't want that, so it's gone now. Fix a spot on Smelter Complex where players could respawn behind a drop-down, rendering them unrescuable. Also fixed an issue where players joining midway through HL1611 chasm stations could spawn in behind a now closed door. There's a lot of fixes regarding us being able to spawn somewhere we shouldn't. I'm just going to gloss over them for now. Like I said, if you really want to look at everything, the patch notes are down in the description below. So, fix a bug in the Psychanium where unequipping a weapon with a trait perk makes the other equipped weapon trait perks not work. Yep, thank you. Thank you for fixing that. Fix an area where players could be thrown into an inaccessible area. Another case of shouldn't be a thing. And the last and most important one, fixed an NPC shooting without a gun in the prologue. I love the emotes you used there. Finger guns! They are very much a thing. Gotta love them. So, regarding animations, there have been some changes regarding sound issues, regarding animations, and so on. These do not really change anything regarding gameplay, but something that I would like to tell you about is that they fixed a bug where wrong start animation was used on the second right start action on the Mark 9 heavy sword. Now it matches the horizontal right attack, and in general, most of these are, well, just welcome changes to make things a little bit more accessible. Same for the fixed excessive camera shake when cleaving through enemies on specific attacks on tactical axes, power swords, and eviscerators. While I love the camera shake, it's nice to have it a little bit toned down. Character customization. Something that really struck with me was they fixed various issues with cosmetics regarding clipping. I remember that with my beta helmet on my veteran. In the case of my veteran, his chin and nose were clipping through the mask. This should be gone now. On top of that, there have been some minor problems with customization in general. My personal highlight, they fixed an issue with an ogre mustache that only appeared during cutscenes and when observed within kissing distance. Here, a PSA from the devs: do not kiss the ogre. Regarding UI, they changed texture quality and mesh quality sliders are now a thing in the settings menu. On top of that, there's one thing that I am very much a fan of, which is now displaying the cosmetic weapon skins and clothes as owned when viewing them in the armory exchange. On top of that, There's also one more thing, which I am trying to see real quick. There it is. Several UI and UX adjustments have been made surrounding the weapon cards, including a hover item inspect in inventory loadouts, as well as now showing the item level for curios in loadout and its detail card. I am happy, incredibly happy about this. When you take a look at your weapons in your inventory, you always had to make up, well, you had to click on them, you had to open the detailed view to really get a look at what you had there. Having a hover option to just open a weapon card with a rundown of the weapon is very much a change to quality of life, not just UI UX. So, apart from that, there's just some engine stuff. So we're basically done with the patch notes. Now here's a question from me to you though. Has one of your favorite weapons been hit with these changes? And if so, do you like the change? On top of that, what do you think of the new mission? I didn't get to play it yet, and I am very much looking forward to your ideas and what you are thinking of that map. Until then, hey, see you on the Morning Star, everybody. Have fun purging.